Hello everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Okay, so today we'll be focusing on the parable of the prodigal son. And last week we focused on the humble widow's offering. Today we'll be learning about somebody who makes a mistake, and not just one person, but a few people that make some mistakes that they think could really change how other people treat them. Now, before we get started, I have a question for you. Do you have something that you love more than almost anything else in the world, and that no matter what they did, you would still always love them? I know I do. I have some people that it seems like no matter what they do, we always work it out together, and we get to a spot where I can kind of forgive them, and I will still always love them, even when I'm upset or angry with them. That'd be like my mom, my dad, my sister. I've got some best friends that even when they make mistakes and I'm angry, I still love them on the inside. So today we'll be talking about two sons in the parable of the prodigal son. And one of the sons kind of makes a big mistake, and he's worried that it might change how his father sees him. Okay, prodigal son. In this story, there is a father, and he has two sons, an elder and a younger. And so basically, the father's kind of getting up in years. He's a little bit older, so the sons go to their dad and say, "Father, you have worked this estate your whole life. Why not retire and let us take over working this estate, working the land for you?" So the dad goes, "You know what? That sounds like a great idea. What I'm going to do is, instead of having you both in charge of this one big chunk of land, I'm going to split it right down the middle. And then son number one, the eldest, will get this half. And son number two will get this half. That way you both will have something to build your legacy upon." So the sons are like, "This is great. This is fantastic. This is just what we wanted." So the elder son is like, "You know what? What I am going to do is I'm going to turn my half of the estate into the best farm ever. You've already done so much work to make this land good for growing things, and you build up the herds. They've got nice, good animals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work even harder to make that even more fantastic." And what the younger son decides, he's like, "You know what? That's a lot of work, a lot of backbreaking work. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take all of the money that isn't being invested in this, and I'm going to go out into the world, and I'm going to try and invest it in other things to see if maybe I can make my way using a different route," so to say. He's like, "You know, I'm not really cut out to be a farmer. Maybe I'll take this estate money, I'll try something else, so that way then I can be a big success, and I can come back and we can expand instead of just being two little farms side by side. Maybe we'll have a big farm, and maybe I'll become a merchant of something, or maybe I'll become a scholar," or he gets all excited with all these ideas. So basically, what the younger son does is he closes down his estate, packs up all the money and wealth that he owns from that, and he decides he's going to hit the road. He's going to go out into the world and make something of himself. So he starts doing that, and he travels all around. He meets lots of different people and lots of different cultures and foods and experiences. But unfortunately, he makes a lot of mistakes. And every job that he tries, instead of becoming a success at it, he doesn't do so high. He either fails or it's just not what he wants to do, and so he moves on. Well, he does that for several years in a row, where he just keeps moving on, never settling, can't find something he likes or that's going to work out for him. Well, all of a sudden, a giant famine strikes the area he's in. Do you guys remember what a famine is? A famine is basically when the rainfall is so little and the sun is so hot that it dries up the ground, and so things can't grow, animals can't eat. It makes basically a food shortage. So basically this huge famine strikes right as he has pretty much lost all of his money, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I can't go back home. I've made so many mistakes. I've wasted all of this money. No. I will find a job, still become a success, and then I will go back home." So he looks around during this time of famine, and the only job he can find is as a pig keeper. And he's so poor that instead of having a house that he lives in and then goes to work, he stays in the pen with the pigs. So there's no place for him to stay. That's where he has to live. And then eventually he gets so hungry that the pig food starts to look really good. He's like, "Oh, I haven't eaten in forever. I am starving. I don't have enough for all the food that I need. That looks pretty good." And he goes, wait. So he stops and he looks in his life and he says, I have made a lot of mistakes and I really didn't want to go back home like this, but I have to. It's not an option. I'll just go back and I'll beg my father for forgiveness, and even if he doesn't want me back as a son, maybe he'll take me in as a hard worker again, but I can't do this anymore. I just have to go back. So he decides he's done working in the pig pen. He's made all these mistakes. It's time to give up and go back home. So he's like trotting along, going back home. Remember, he's been working with the pigs, so instead of this healthy, young, colorful man that left with nice clothes and fancy shoes and full of energy, he comes back and he's wearing, like, basically worn, torn clothing. There's holes, there's patches, it's muddy, it smells like pigs. He's really not looking his best. So he finally makes it home and he knocks on his father's door. When the father answers the door, he's like, wait, before you say anything, I know that I have made mistakes and I am not worthy of being your son, but will you please forgive me and allow me to at least come back and just work the fields for you? Now he is ready for his father to be really upset. He's like, I left no word. I haven't been in contact. He's going to be so upset with me. Oh my goodness gracious. So he is ready to be like yelled at and like really upset, Dad. And instead of being upset, his dad like rushes to him, gives him the biggest hug, tells the servants to come, bring him new clothing, bring him new shoes. We're going to throw a big old feast. My son has returned. I thought you had died. I am so happy that you are here with me. And this young son is like, what? This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting to come back and it was going to be like a disgrace, that you're going to be really upset with me. And his father is like, no matter what mistakes you make, you will always be my son and I will always love you. So there's that part of the story. So the younger son is like, okay, we've made up. Even if I make mistakes, I know that no matter what, you will always love me. So they kind of go in and they start to throw this big old feast. They get like the best food and all the drinks, and everybody's all dressed up and they're excited. Well, in the middle of this party, the elder son starts to walk back to his house and he's like, what is going on here? Why are we throwing a party? So he stops one of the servants and says, hey, what's going on? Why are we all so happy? And the young servant explains, your younger son has returned. Your younger son, sorry, it would be his brother. Your younger brother has returned. He is back home. So your father is throwing this big old feast to welcome him back. Now, the elder son gets really upset. He's like, what are you talking about? Why is he so excited this younger son has come back? So he's kind of sitting outside. He's all upset. He's like, you know what? I have worked for you day and day. I never left. I have been the perfect son. I've done everything that you've asked me. When he left and we thought he had died, I stayed strong and I made the estate what it is today. We wouldn't be here without me. He's just like really upset. He's like, you mean to tell me that all of that work that I did and you still love the younger son more than me? This is totally unfair. So he's really, really upset. So the servant goes and she gets the dad and he's like, okay, you gotta go talk to him. Like something's going on out there. You gotta see what's going on. So the father comes out to the elder son and he's like, what is going on? So the elder son explains why he is so upset. Like how he can't believe that the younger son has made all these mistakes and you still love him just as much as you did before. And he's like, I just don't understand this. I've been the perfect son. You should love me more. Or you should be more excited, or it shouldn't be the big feast for this young son that's made all these mistakes. So the father calms down his elder son. He says, I see where you're coming from. And yes, you have worked really, really hard in life. You've done such a good job. And I am proud of you for doing that. But just because your brother has made a mistake does not mean that he's any less worthy of my love than you are. In fact, that might mean that he might need a little bit more attention, because when mistakes are made, sometimes it can be really hard to feel like that's all that we are. When you make a mistake, sometimes it's like, that's so big and it's a mountain and I that's all I'll ever be known for is this mistake. So he said, we need to put aside our feelings of like self-righteousness or envy or jealousy, and we just need to be excited that somebody that we thought was lost to us is back in our lives. And that's really what I'm celebrating, is the return of this relationship. And that's the end of the story of the prodigal son. Now, in this story, who do you think makes mistakes here? Well, we know for sure that the younger son makes some mistakes, but also the elder son makes some mistakes too. Because while his mistake isn't as like out there as going out into the world and wasting or kind of losing all of this money, he still makes a mistake in thinking that others are not worth as much love because they make mistakes. And so that's where the father comes in. He kind of explained to him, it doesn't matter where you are in life, I will always love you no matter what. So I know that you guys have some take-home sheets, and in one of them they want you to draw pictures of what you think the faces are of the sons and the father at the beginning of the story. So I'm excited to see those later on this week once you had time to do those. And I'm also excited to see kind of what you guys think of this lesson, because I know that sometimes when we make a mistake, we feel like that's the most important thing about us. So when you have a moment, feel free to drop a word on Facebook or post your pictures of what the work activities look like at home. And I can't wait to see you next week. Bye, everyone. See you later.